right now. So we all know that the ministry has published all information guidelines regarding this outbreak. But to clarify a very important point, I would like to bring to the notice of all my listeners that the entire set of symptoms was taken up from the clinical features of patients infected with 2019 novel corona Wuhan, China, before the ministry reached to the prophylaxis. Secondly, since we do not have a vaccine in existence, we do not have a control medication in existence, and also no antivirals are available. A similar situation was there in 2014 Ebola outbreak, and the World Health Organization has given a very, very clear-cut guideline that it is ethical to offer even unproven interventions. Here I have a submission that the efficiency of vaccine is estimated by the attack rate in the vaccinated group and in the controls. So homeopathy really needs to reach out to the people, and we really need to do a lot of molecular and epidemiological studies, because our prophylactic mechanism is not only very evolved, it is very person centric and situation centric and also region centric. And so the chances of failure are very low. And again, I would like to reiterate that since no prophylactic measure is 100%, there are huge failures, there are huge side effects, even deaths because of prophylactic measures. So there should be no hesitation, there should be no haste or disagreement. Rather, we should follow the instructions of Dr. Kent, which says that we should go to the near minimum and we should offer as much as protection we can. So there will be many medicines which will be indicated for homeoprophylaxis. Their coverage will be different and the action would be different, but all are going to help the people. And in the larger context, the improvement in the situation of any epidemic or any outbreak, or even, lifestyle disorders, all these will be catered very well with the homeoprophylactic procedures. So is that all right, Dr. Hina?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was great. It was great experience to hear you. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you so much.
So now I am very much thankful to Juhi madam for giving informative with data. Thank you, madam. Again, I would like to request you to remain. Now I would like to request Dr. Hitarth Mehta, Principal of Rajkot Homeopathic Medical College, to share platform with Dr. Jha. Hitarth sir.
Good morning, all of you. I request learned and esteemed guest of today's webinar, Senior Professor and renowned homeopathic practitioner of Bhopal City, respected Dr. Sandeep Jha sir, to kindly guide and enlighten us how homeopathic medicine produces immunity as a prophylactic medicine, and how will you correlate Hahnemannian concept of prophylactic. Jha sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. First, I would like to thank for inviting me for this webinar. And I know that Dr. Juhi has mostly explained about the general prophylaxis, and I would like to be specific for homeopathy. So I would like to share some slides with you. And if you're getting, just tell me.
Now you're not getting, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Start.
Your
Jha sir.
Yes, sir, we are getting.
it is there. Yeah, you're getting. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
As we all know that prevention is better than cure, and that is the reason we are now going on to the first topic, this role of homeopathy in prophylaxis. As Dr. Juhi also told that what is the real meaning of the prophylactic is not only for acute diseases, it is also for the chronic diseases and many other conditions where we can understand the use of prophylactic medicines. According to community medicine, there are different level of prevention, health promotion, specific protection, early diagnosis and treatment, disability limitation, rehabilitation. We are convinced with everything, but except the specific protection, where the other system is using vaccines, and we are against the vaccine because of the ill effects of vaccines. So here we are having a difference with the other system of medicine, and we say that our medicine is much more effective in these conditions. So this is the I just want to add. And second is the Hahnemann view of the this disease was that there are triad disease, that there are three things. One is agent, one is host, and one is environment. And other system is mostly concerned with the agent, but our main aim is to improve the host. The host, we by our dynamic medicine, we improve the immunity, or you can say defense mechanism of a host. So the host can either not suffer from the disease, or he can fight with the disease very well. But without agent, without combination of three, according to Hahnemann, disease cannot occur. As far as prophylaxis with homeopathy, we can think of 3-4 systems. The first is a constitutional medicine, which is very important, because this is where we can treat many, prevent many chronic diseases as well as acute diseases. So there are 4 ways we can prescribe for prophylaxis in homeopathy. That is, first is constitutional medicine. Second is medicine with generic similarities. Then similar no-sort. And fourth is, as Dr. Ju has also told you, about genus epidemicus. The constitutional medicine is a medicine which is totally select on the individualization, and for that we require mentals, we require generals, particulars, uncommons, stage and peculiar symptom. And the main action of constitutional medicine is to removing the predispositions and increasing vitality and general immunity to stress and disease in an individual. So it is totally individualistic approach. It cannot be given as a genus epidemicus. It is only for person to person it differs, and this is the best way of prophylaxis in disease. Second is genetic similarity. Here we see this is also approach where we see only similarity with the disease. As you know that we give Drosera for whooping cough and Eupatarium for dengue, etc. So this is generic similarity. First was constitutional similarity. Then the product which is we are producing for the disease product, that is no-sort, and that is with this is not on the only on the disease basis. If there are measles, that there's no-sort is morbillinum, influenzinum for influenza, and there are many other no-sorts also, which is giving without any taking symptoms, only on the basis of that no-sort is made, the medicine is made from that disease product, we apply that for the prophylaxis. Then the very important Hahnemann discuss on genus epidemicus, and this is the way this is a treat when the epidemic is there, we use the genus epidemicus. That is the way where the many persons are affected with same symptoms, and the disease is epidemic, and we have no time to take individual cases. At that time, we require Hahnemann advice to go for the genus epidemicus. Here we take the common symptom of the case, and on the most similar medicine which is covering the common symptoms is given as a prophylactic as well as for the treatment also. Here is one catch is there, that genus epidemicus is every time is different at epidemic. So before starting of epidemic, we cannot prescribe genus epidemicus. We have to wait for to get the symptoms of genus epidemicus, then only we can prescribe. That is a little bit check, but the genus epidemicus is given for many persons at the same time as prophylaxis and as well as for the treatment purpose. And this epidemic disease, and that is one thing I want to also clear, that genus epidemicus can be changed, or it may require change if the symptom changes. That is also important. It is not final that if one epidemic we have selected, that will be for whole epidemic. No. If the symptom changes, we have to change the epidemic also. Then the second question of Dr. Mehta was how the medicine can produce the immunity, homeopathic medicines.
Yeah.
The basic idea is that homeopathy enhance our natural healing and self-regulatory process of the body. By this minimum dynamic doses, we produce artificial disease, or you can say subclinical level per we produce the disease in the body. So the vital force become very powerful. So the outer disease cannot affect the our body. So the possible mechanism we can divide into 3 parts. That the one approach is, because our medicine is dynamic, that we cannot show everything on the scientific level. So there are 3 things. The one is the philosophical basis, psychological basis, and physiological basis. On philosophical basis, as I have told you, that we give the dynamic medicine that works at the subclinical proving. So the symptom will not come in the person, and it is producing artificial disease. So it brings the power to the vital force. So if any medicine of any disease of similar kind comes in the body, that body will not allow it. That is a philosophical idea, and that is the main idea on which homeopathic medicine works on the preventive aspects. Second is psychological. That is very important. That mostly when we are treating with the epidemics, the most thing is coming is from the anxiety, stress, and fear, and these things can weaken our body. So if we treat by our medicine these things, then this may be the reason that the person is not having the disease, because the anxiety, stress, and fear is treated by our medicines, by our prophylactic medicines. So we see that mostly in the epidemics, just so the COVID-19, anxiety, stress, and fear is one of the important things, and that makes our body weak. So at present, the back with the CCRH has given the arsenic alum, that is having very important anxiety symptom in that. Same way in physiological level, the research is still going on, but the interesting viewpoint is that we can think that there is some research is going that plain water and homeopathic doses, when we see of the water of the homeopathy is having some different thing, and in the same way William Borick also said that baptitia and low dilution produce antibodies. So that we can say explain the physiological level. We say that homeopathy is immunostimulating, but I will say that homeopathy is not only immunostimulating, it is a immunomodulating, because our drug that stimulates a depressed immune system, as well as it tones down an overactive immune system that we see in the rheumatoid arthritis or autoimmune diseases, that our medicine is immunomodulating, because if the immunity is less, we enhance it. If it is hyperactive, then we have to tone down it. Then for understanding homeopathy, we should go for the nanopharmacology. That the word used, that this is the only word in the English dictionary, that is small, that every extremely small and yet extremely powerful, that only suits to the homeopathy. This Dr. Juhi has told you about the success story of prophylaxis. I'm summarizing it, that belladonna for scarlet fever is from the beginning. Hahnemann, after inventing homeopathy, within few years he gave medicine for the belladonna for scarlet fever. Bonninghausen used cholera for cholera epidemic, camphor, veratrum album, peppermint. He again used verulinum thuja for the smallpox, and this meningococcal coconut in the meningitis. There are many medicines, and that again I want to tell you that for a light note that hydroforminum is the drug in homeopathy, and that drug is made from the saliva of the rabid animal, and that it is a very old medicine in homeopathy, and Hahnemann used that medicine for hydrophobia. At that time, Louis Pasteur was over 8 or 9 years of old, who was called as a father of vaccination. So I will just want to hello.
Yes, continue, sir.
Continue, sir. Continue.
Just I'll tell you that homeopathy is using this prevention from a very long time before vaccination has came, and we have many examples of that. And in concluding, I'm saying that the best thing, if we are having the time for prescribing, individualization is the best thing, constitutional medicine is the best thing, and for the epidemics, as our masters tell, this genus epidemic is the best, and definitely we get result from it. And with this, I would like to conclude my small lecture. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a
sir,
lot.
for your.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jha sir, for sharing your clinical tips for COVID-19.
Thank you.
And how knowledge of organon will be helpful for role of homeopathy in prophylaxis. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mehta sir, for good communication with Dr. Jha. Again, I am very much thankful to Dr. Jha for giving consent and sparing some time for our webinar. And in continuation, I would like to our Honorable Dean Sir, Dr. Purab Desai, to share platform with senior most homeopath and Professor Dr. Hegde sir. Purab Desai sir.
Thank you, Panda sir. Good morning, Hegde sir. We have already gone through two eminent speakers who have contributed their expertise, and it's a really pleasure that now a learned person like you is also among us. So let's have the benefit of you. So, sir, it will be really good if you can share your personal experience of homeopathic medicine as a prophylactic, and it will be really wonderful if you explain the role of homeopathic medicine as a prophylactic medicine in future, sir.
Hegde sir. Hello. Hegde sir, again, he has muted his audio. So please unmute it. Hegde sir. So, are you able to listen, Hegde sir? He's not in connection. Yes,
Hello?
again. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, it is my pleasure with Parul University staff, management, as well as students and others who is watching this webinar. The question has been thrown that personal experience. In the last some 30-35 years of experience, I could able to share with you. Everybody we talk prevention is better than cure. That is true. But I would like to add one more sentence in that. A milligram of prevention is worth a kilogram of cure. I hope you understood it. And directly I will go to the experiences what I had. In 2005 and 2012, we had a Japanese encephalitis. It was random in Andhra Pradesh as well as some parts of Karnataka. And we have seen in some of the cases in Bangalore also. And we all, the expert team, we went to the Ballari. In 2012, we could not able to do much help. And in 2015, certainly, we could able to identify the genus epidemicus, and we have distributed the medicine also, and it has helped. Even more than 6,000 persons we have given the medicine, and that was the medicine Belladonna 200 and Tuberculinum 1M we have given. Tuberculinum 1M was 2 doses, and Belladonna daily 2 doses for 3 days, in some of the areas 5 days. It was so fantastic, I will tell you, all the 6,000 people what we have given these medicines, they didn't get any encephalitis. And still it is a record with us. That is number one. Number two, all you are aware, in 2015, chikungunya was one of the worst ever affected in almost all over India, all Asian countries we have seen. And that time, we have distributed more than 50 to 60% of the population in Karnataka when we are suffering from this chikungunya. And I think everyone, you are aware that medicine was restocked. And during this chikungunya epidemic, we get a good name for homeopathy and homeopathic doctors as well as homeopathic faculty. And still they remember homeopathy is the best for chikungunya and chikungunya-like cough or type of diseases. Because we see the post-chikungunya arthritis also too much. With that concept, I will tell you, we have seen after that in Bangalore, we have viral conjunctivitis. This viral conjunctivitis is also another epidemic disease. And in Bangalore, that is called very funny way that Madras eye. Because initially it came from Chennai. Now Chennai they call it, initially Madras. And in 2008 and 2010, it was very epidemically spread throughout the Chennai, Kerala, as well as even Karnataka, some parts. Then our good old remedy, the Euphrasia, has helped a lot. And after that, to say that, even along with the Euphrasia, some of the active acute cases, we have taken the help of belladonna, aconite, apis, and even natrium and such remedies also. But the main, as an epidemic prophylactic, we have used the Euphrasia. And in some of the doctors, they have used the external application of Euphrasia also. It was really a wonderful relief what the patients got. Even patient family members, they got it. You know how sporadically it spreads the conjunctivitis. Then in 2009, swine flu, H1N1, we could not able to make a much study, but we could able to identify the genus Epidemicus. Some of the cases, even I was there in the team, we went to the virology department and chest and pulmonary department of Government of Karnataka, and we could able to see some 4 to 5 cases only, but they are not allowing us. But still, we could able to get the symptoms and we could able to identify the genus Epidemicus. Arsenic alb was the remedy, and along with that, we gave tuberculinum noso. See, I hope this is a very interesting thing what we have shared, and what the past from the Hahnemann's time up till now, we are struggling to identify the genus Epidemicus and preventing the diseases. And now today also it is in a pandemic stage, we are struggling hard. Now I will come to your next question. That is very interesting. What is the future for homeopathy? I will ask not just prophylaxis, otherwise also it is for homeopathy. At present, scenario is very, what I can say, tearful. But still, I believe a strong words like intellectual solve problems, genius prevent them. For your information, I will tell you, without waiting anybody, in the month of March when it has started, because we are all learned, qualified practitioners, and we could able to take our own decision and we can prescribe the medicine for a prevention. There is nothing harm in that. We are not harming anybody. We are not claiming. That's number one. Number two, see, our great master Kent has said very long back only in his lesser writings as well as writings, the great prophylaxis is the homeopathic remedy. I will repeat this. The great prophylaxis is the homeopathic remedy. See, this is true to the fact. Again, we need not identify. But see, there is a challenge in this question to answer. What is the future for the prophylaxis in homeopathy? I would like to answer this in 2-3 headings. See, of late, the medical science also struggling hard to identify the treatment. The plasma therapy came, vaccinations came, chemotherapy is on. See, with these studies, what we understand is, we still discuss what we can do. In a homeopathy to restriction us, with my youngsters and juniors upcoming or budding doctors, I would like to share. See, I would like to discuss this in the 4 headings. SWOT. S is strength and scope. W is weakness. Next is threat or weakness, then opportunity. The first heading we say the scope or a strength is plenty in homeopathy. I say with a loud voice, plenty in homeopathy. Then what is the challenge that all we have to face? We don't have a quality research at the different level what is required today. One should not mistake me. We talk about only the past things. When we think about the future, because I remember when we have started practice, many persons, they were not aware of what is homeopathy. Now it is not like that. Homeopathy is known, recognized, as well as recommended in so many countries in the world. And we are in that field. That's why naturally our responsibility is to see that we could able to convince the different parts of the world for the different field of the medicine. With that, the challenge is quality research at the different level, like a molecular level or evidence-based studies, experiment at physiopathological level as well as structural level. See, why we could not able to make a study like a ICMR? Why we are just hanging over with the same philosophy? Okay, it's a challenge, I will tell you. See, for example, in the quality research, I will tell you, arsenic album we are selecting now for a prophylaxis or a immune booster. I should not use the word prophylaxis. Immune booster in homeopathy for COVID-19. Okay, this arsenic album, if you give it to the healthy human beings, what changes it takes place at the structural level? What changes take place at the molecular level? What changes takes place in the organs like a liver, kidney, brain, heart, lungs, or whatever the parts are there? These studies would be able to help us. And for this, we need a good established laboratory. I hope Parallel University scientists or some laboratory persons or statisticians, all they could join together, they can form a very good laboratory for this research work. And what I feel next further is study on the same remedies on the lower animals as well as on the plants. Then we could able to tell others that what we are doing, how best we could able to proceed, and what is our threat, what is our weakness. Not sufficient or a proper data. We talk the same thing what Hahnemann in 1808 he has cured for the swine flu or so many other or the Spanish flu. We are not talking about what is there today. All probabilities will not give a credit to us. That's why we need statistical data, and we have a weakness like we are disorganized, and we need a scientist or a good coordinators because we are a therapeutic physicians. We don't know how to prepare this data. And whatever the CCRH guidelines are there, along with that, why don't we coordinate with the ICMR? And we have opportunities. We have a plenty of opportunities, I will tell you. Youngsters should take up these opportunities. See, if all the above things we could able to understand, redirected, then certainly by this time we would have prepared our nosode for COVID-19. You know, nosodes we are preparing for so many things. If we have a well-equipped laboratory, we would have prepared our nosode for the COVID from the corona suffering patient secretions. That would have been a best vaccination ever in the world. This is a future what I am talking. Now also it is not late. That's why I feel the nosodes should be prepared as early as possible to fight this. Then I remember a word where with all these, the future, Thomas Alva Edison has expressed sometime, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, exercise, and in the cause and prevention of disease. See, when we are aware, when it has started spreading, then we should act fast. Then if we could act fast, then our future will be very bright. I feel now that is a need of an hour. Everybody should be awake with that. That's why I remember where in the homeopathic medicine, as a prophylaxis, as a therapeutic, as well as for a best treatment, we have so many medicines. Only proper study is required. Otherwise, where our students may feel that we are not having any scientific approach or a development is not taking place, before putting anybody to the authority, we should have a sufficient proper data to explain to them scientifically. That is required. See, now we are in the 21st century's end almost. That's why naturally we need all these scientific research-oriented approaches. I hope I have reached your point.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We are glad to have your enlightening experience, sir. This was wonderful session, and I hope all of us must have enjoyed it. I think such interactions should continue on regular basis, and this will definitely make motivated to all of us. We become more scientific, and such events definitely boost our confidence in practicing homeopathy. Let the homeopathic system become the future of globe.
Thank you.
Without leaving our
Thank
principle,
you.
we could able to do
Thank you,
better.
Purab sir. Thank you, Purab sir. Again, I am very much thankful to Hegde sir for encouraging our new generation. The need of the hour, our new generation should take the challenge, and you have rightly implemented the formula for NAC, SWOT, SWOT. And now I would like to request Hina madam to summarize the webinar, what we all are discussing. Please, Hina madam.
Thank you, Panda sir. It was a very enlightening seminar, webinar, which was taken by our distinguished speakers. To begin with, Dr. Juhi ma'am, she started with the prevention by mother's milk and the preventive surgeries, and then finally the dynamic prevention done by the homeopathic medicine, which was a thorough method to explain the different preventions which are possible right from the birth of the child. So we started from the birth of the child to coming to the preservative force, that is the vital force, which helps us, the immunity which helps us, which is most talked about today. So thank you, Juhi ma'am, for that wonderful speech and the history which you covered, the entire history. The Conning Slutter episode was known to the homeopathic world, but you brought so many other preventive medicines which were used by the pioneers of homeopathy. So thank you, Juhi ma'am. Then once again, Dr. Sandeep sir, he started with the 3 factors which are responsible for the disease, and he talked about the constitutional medicine, the generic medicines, the nosodes, and the genus epidemicus, which is the main points where homeopathy wins, or where homeopathy is more beneficial in comparison to the other pathies. So that was very interesting how the different modes of treatment which are used in homeopathy are very useful in the as a prophylaxis. And finally, Dr. Hegde sir, it was a great learning experience from your own experience. You had experienced with so many genus epidemicus in cases of swine flu, in cases of chikungunya, cases of conjunctivitis, and Japanese encephalitis. So Hegde sir, from your real life experience which you have shared, it will bring more confidence in the homeopathic world, and it will make homeopathy more popular in other pathies, that we have already proved that homeopathic medicines are prophylactic against such diseases which are spreading in the community. So it was a great learning experience for our students, for all homeopaths around the globe, with the enlightening speeches of all 3 speakers. Now, I have been given the privilege to thank you, but I'll say that thank you is just a prayer from the heart. You have spared your valuable time, you have spared your Sunday today to give your knowledge, to share your knowledge with our students. So it is a great experience, and I thank from the bottom of my heart to all 3 speakers. I thank the management of Parul University, especially our IT team, who is working day and night and conducting almost 4 to 5 webinars in a day. I thank our Dean, Dr. Purav sir, and my colleagues, Dr. Panda sir, Dr. Hitarth Mehta sir, for jointly working out such webinars. Thank you very much to all the audience,
Thank you.
to all the distinguished speakers also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before ending, there is one announcement. Before summing up, there is one announcement. Tomorrow, on 20th April, there is another webinar that is at 2 to 4 p.m. The topic is COVID-19 response and containment measures by Dr. Ramesh Bavaskar. So I will share you the brochure of it and the link of it once again. So all the delegates, all the listeners, all the audience can again join tomorrow 2 to 4 p.m. Thank you, madam.
Dr. Bavaskar is a regional head, Mumbai unit of Central Council of Research in Homeopathy. So don't forget to join. Remain connected with Parole University. Thank you.
Again, I would request to all the experts as well as the host, please you share through mail regarding your feedback to our dean sir, by which you can able to assess about the performance. And again, we are collecting how many audience they are able to get the benefit from our webinar. And I would like to request dean sir to arrange such type of webinar again and again for the benefit of our students, for our fraternity. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So now 2 minutes are left.
No,
Yes.
no, it's 12. 12.
The time is end.
Yes.
So thank you again. Thank you very much to all the
Thank you.
guest
Thank you,
speakers.
sir.
Okay, welcome again. Yes, Hina madam will leave.
Yes, leave, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, end the meeting. End the meeting koti bhai. End the meeting कहाँ पे है? End the meeting कहाँ?
અહીંથી જવા દો ને. મારે તો એની મેળે જ મેસેજ આવી ગયો સર.
ચાલ.